If your goal is building muscle, you've probably heard people say that you can bulk on absolutely anything: pizza, donuts, ice cream, or that you need to eat nothing but chicken, rice, and broccoli. The truth is, neither is completely right. Some foods make hitting your calories and protein incredibly easy. Others leave you full after a few bites, making bulking far harder than it needs to be. So today, I'm ranking some of the most popular bulking foods from avoid, helpful, very effective, and all the way to non-negotiable. This isn't about which foods taste the best. It's about which foods make building muscle easier, help you recover better, and are actually sustainable over months of training. Let's get started. We'll start with one of the most iconic bodybuilding foods: chicken breast. It's lean, high in protein, affordable, and incredibly versatile. Every 100 grams gives you roughly 30 grams of high quality protein with very little fat. The only downside, it's not very calorie dense. If you're someone who struggles to eat enough food while bulking, chicken breast can actually fill you up before you've eaten enough calories. Still, because it's one of the easiest ways to hit your protein target every day, it deserves a very high ranking. Tier: very effective. Next, rice. This is a bulking staple for a reason. It's cheap, easy to cook in large batches, digests well for most people, and it's an excellent source of carbohydrates to fuel your workouts. Unlike some carb sources, rice isn't overly filling. That means it's much easier to eat enough calories when your goal is gaining weight. Combine it with a protein source and some healthy fats, and you've got one of the best muscle building meals possible. Tier: non-negotiable. Now let's talk about oats. Oats are one of the most underrated bulking foods. They're packed with complex carbohydrates, fiber, vitamins, and minerals. You can eat them as porridge, blend them into shakes, or even add them to pancakes. One of the biggest advantages is how easy they are to increase your calorie intake without relying on junk food. Throw oats into a shake with milk, peanut butter, and whey protein, and you've instantly created a high-calorie meal. For versatility alone, tier: very effective. Peanut butter. This is probably one of the easiest foods on this entire list for increasing calories. Just 2 tablespoons contain close to 200 calories. It's loaded with healthy fats and also provides some protein. The only thing to watch is portion size. It is incredibly easy to overeat. For hard gainers, that's a huge advantage. For everyone else, not so much. Used correctly, peanut butter is one of the best bulking foods available. Tier: non-negotiable. Eggs. Cheap, nutritious, high quality protein, healthy fats, and incredibly convenient. Whole eggs provide nearly every nutrient your body needs except vitamin C. They're also one of the highest quality protein sources available. Whether scrambled, boiled, or in an omelet, eggs fit into almost any and every diet. For muscle growth and overall nutrition, tier: non-negotiable. Pasta often gets unfairly criticized, but for bulking, it's fantastic. It's high in carbohydrates, easy to make, and extremely calorie dense compared to foods like potatoes. Pair it with lean mince, tomato sauce, and parmesan, and you've got a meal that tastes great while helping you gain size. Definitely one of the easiest ways to increase calories. Tier: very effective. Now here's where things get controversial. Fast food. Can you bulk eating burgers and fries? Absolutely. Will you gain weight? Yes. Should it make up most of your diet? Definitely not. Fast food is usually high in calories, but it's also high in saturated fat, sodium, and low in important micronutrients. The occasional takeaway isn't going to ruin your progress, but relying on it every single day probably will. For that reason, tier: helpful. Avocados don't get enough credit. They're packed with monounsaturated fats, fiber, and essential nutrients. Because they're calorie dense, they're an easy addition to sandwiches, wraps, salads, or toast. If you're trying to gain weight without feeling overly full, avocados are an excellent option. Tier: very effective. Mixed nuts might be one of the easiest snacks for bulking. A single handful can contain well over 150 calories. They're portable, require no preparation, and provide healthy fats, proteins, and minerals. The only downside is that calories add up incredibly quickly. But for someone struggling to gain weight, that is exactly what you want. Tier Non-Negotiable. So here's my final ranking. In the non-negotiable tier, rice, eggs, peanut butter, and mixed nuts. For very effective foods, chicken breast, oats, pasta, and avocados. For helpful, just fast food. And for things to avoid, nothing on today's list. Remember, no single food builds muscle on its own. Muscle growth comes from consistently eating enough calories, hitting your protein target, training hard, and giving your body time to recover. The best bulking foods aren't necessarily the most expensive or the trendiest. They're the ones you can eat consistently while enjoying your diet and making progress week after week. If you enjoyed this tier list, let me know what you'd like to see ranked next. Maybe protein bars, gym equipment, cheat meals, or even the best exercises for every muscle group. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.